Hello and welcome to The Talk. Our talk today is all about health. We'll be looking at what nature has in store for us to help us take good care of ourselves, to help us prevent diseases, treat diseases, and to even help us look good. And my guest today is someone who has always called what nature has for us nature's pharmacy. Today, we'll be talking about nature's pharmacy. What we have in Nigeria, how blessed are we in Nigeria? Well, some people call it traditional medicine, some call it herbal medicine, some say it is natural medicine, some say alternative medicine. Well, whatever it is, my guest is someone who knows exactly what it is, and she'll be telling us all about that. And you know, some countries make billions of dollars from what nature has blessed them with. How are we faring in Nigeria? How much are we blessed? And how are we doing with what we are blessed with? All of that we'll be talking about. And also, we'll be looking at how orthodox medicine and traditional medicine are working hand in hand in some countries. And what is the situation in Nigeria? Only recently, the world celebrated Malaria Day with the theme, Invest in the Future, Defeat Malaria. And I tell you, my guest is someone who knows all about working to defeat malaria with what we have. So, I welcome you once again to The Talk. I am Bola Oyeyemi. When we come back, you'll be meeting my guest. Okay, you're welcome back to The Talk. I said we're talking all about health today. And I've been talking so much about this, my guest used to say this, my guest used to say this. I'll still tell you a bit more about my guest before you meet her. For a very long time, my guest had a program on television called Nature's Pharmacy. And way back then, she'd tell us about all these natural herbs, all these leaves and plants that, you know, we just look over and maybe cut off and throw away. This guest of mine, for so long, had been preaching to us about the goodness of Moringa, Zogale leaves. She will come on her program and bring Zogale, you know, the way they sell it in the market. They make salad with it, you know, with kuli and tomato and all of that. And many of us, oh, what is it, not this again. But look at today. Say Moringa all over the place. People are now packaging Moringa and selling Moringa, and they're importing Moringa, and Nigerians are running all over the place wanting to buy Moringa. When for over 20 years, this woman has been preaching about Moringa. Well, some of you probably know who I'm talking about by now, but for those of you who don't know, my guest today is Pharmacist Zainab Ujudud Sheriff. She's also the Managing Director of Nigerian Medicinal Plants Development Company. Hajia Zainab, you're welcome to the program, and it's good to have you here.
You know, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Now, you had in my intro.
Yeah.
I said some people say traditional medicine, some say herbal medicine, natural medicine, alternative medicine. It's got a lot of names, but I think it's all nature's pharmacy.
Great.
So you are the right person to just break it down for us, to make us understand it. Is it the same thing we're all talking about, or are there differences?
It's a very important question because out there is a lot of ignorance.
Yeah.
And when I said, like, when an authority or an organization that has a mandate to make statement on health issues says something, the whole world internationally accepts it. That organization is WHO.
Yeah.
WHO has clearly defined that there are three systems of health care that should be practiced by all countries, which has been fully endorsed by it. What are those three systems? The three systems are the conventional, the orthodox. They even called it allopathic medicine. The one you and I know, go to the hospital, you are given drugs, the same paracetamol all over the world is the same.
Okay.
That is well recognized.
Okay.
Then the next one is the traditional medicine.
Okay.
Traditional medicine, the medicine of a community, of a nation, of a state, which is acceptable by majority of its people.
Which is indigenous to them.
Indigenous, often called indigenous medicine.
Okay.
Medicine of the people. That is traditional. And we have recognized that 80% of about 7 billion population of the world use that traditional medicine. That is the one known as traditional medicine. Okay. Then the third one is the one known as alternative or complementary medicine.
Okay.
Alternative or complementary medicine are other systems of health care that has been modernized, make it better. But these are health systems that have been used in one country and now sold out to other countries. Okay. What do I mean by that? When my traditional medicine in Nigeria leaves Nigeria, to me, it goes to Togo, it becomes alternative medicine.
In Togo?
In Togo, clear.
Okay.
The acupuncture, which is indigenous to China, now is known as alternative medicine all over the world.
Okay.
So you can see where we are coming from. These three systems are well recognized, are well established, and are well practiced in most countries. Okay. That is to say that health cannot be achievable. Let me pause a little and say what is health. Complete state, physical, mental, social, and even spiritual well-being of an individual, not merely the absence of a disease. Not only curative, but also preventive. So these three systems will be recognized. Then let's come back. Let me come back to Nigeria. Nigeria has its own, we know, orthodox medicine. I am bound to say that that means about 30 or 20 to 30% of our people are the ones that patronize the orthodox medicine. Okay.
Now, before you go on, I had said, you know, some say traditional, some say natural, some say this. Now, is this all of these, whether herbal, natural, whatever, they all now come under traditional medicine?
Exactly. That is where I was coming to.
Okay.
Traditional medicine, 80% of your people use it. We don't have problem with orthodox medicine, isn't it? It's well accepted. But traditional medicine is a term that involves a lot of appendages, some total knowledge, which the people use, break it down for the purpose of preventive, curative, diagnosing, managing diseases. Okay? And in that, there are many components. The components of traditional medicine, one of which is maybe you say the traditional psychiatric doctors that treat mental illness, the traditional bed attendants that take care of delivery in communities, herbal medicine, the herbalists who use herbs to diagnose, even the herb sellers. Very common if you go to places like Lagos, you see Eleweme, they call them, those are the herb sellers. So a component of traditional medicine that can be brought forward, expunged and recognized specifically is the one of the herbal medicine. And that herbal medicine, in all these three systems that I've said, traditional medicine, conventional medicine, even some component of orthodox medicine has herbal medicine in it. What am I saying? 40 to 50% of drugs used in orthodox medicine are from herbal origin or plant origin. And then the traditional medicine practitioner, be he a psychiatric, mental doctor, traditional bed attendants, the main product they use mostly is of plant origin, that is herbal medicine. Even the alternative medicine, acupuncture, the needle they prick, the solutions they use, some have some constituents of medicinal plants. The homeopathy, which is a form of alternative medicine, they have some minute quantities of medicinal plants in it. You know hydrotherapy. Hydrotherapy is the use of water. At times, the water is colored with medicinal plants. So you can see that medicinal plants or herbal medicine is all in all. It has a role in all these three systems of health. But you know, it's only in Nigeria.
Okay. Now, I know, Hajia, if I let you, you'll go on, and because I know there's so much to talk. Now you have broken it down for us, and we understand that they can all complement one another to make somebody okay. Healthy. So that we will talk later about, how we're doing in Nigeria and all of that. But for now, I know that, like you just said now, about how 80% of the world population, use traditional medicine, maybe, to take care of themselves. If that is the case, now in Nigeria, a lot of people use traditional medicine, but again, for a lot of people, it is still seen as being not safe.
Okay.
What do you say to that?
Everything has its own definition in the context of what is defined.
Well, what some people say to me about, safety issues concerning traditional
Toxicity,
medicine,
okay.
a lot of people who practice traditional medicine are maybe illiterates.
Good.
Not many of them have been able to combine both Western education, like you are a pharmacist, orthodox pharmacist, you've gone to school, you have learned it. So when you talk to us about herbs and you give me a prescription to say, okay, you use this, use this, use this, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, sure.
But for majority of our people who practice traditional medicine,
they are illiterates.
They are illiterate.
Let me just, yes. Everything, there is generation movement, there's generation shift, there is knowledge, there is value addition. We must recognize and we will not deny the fact that we have our own local traditional healers. But one thing I want to make it clear is that those people have been blessed by God. The ones that are original have been gifted by God in the systems of healing. They have the knowledge. They are the greatest scientists given to them by God. They may not be able to write back to the definition of traditional medicine, explicable or inexplicable, either from talk, verbal explanation. This is how our own system has been. But having said that, as we are moving forward, there needs to be improvement. There needs to be value addition. If you go back to the early times of traditional medicine to the current position now, you can see there has been at least some, we could do better, but there has been some progress. Those you call the illiterates, what we need to do is that there must be a kind of collaboration. The illiterate doctors, which the Chinese call the barefoot doctors, we do not ignore their knowledge because they are basis of our information. Barefoot doctors, the scientists or the professionals, the pharmacists, the doctors, the nurses, generally, etc. The researchers, even let's go forward for value addition, the agriculturalists, the farmers, and then come to say the marketers, the industries. If we come together, each one of us has a role to play. The barefoot doctors give the basic information on the use of medicinal plants because they have been blessed. It's a form of inheritance. No science can buy inheritance, my dear. It is God's gift for mankind given to an individual to be able to use for the benefit of his people. When we get from them the knowledge, which led to the introduction of modern medicine, most of the 40 to 45% of the orthodox drugs we have today are from plant origin. How were these derived? Cinchona from, you get quinine from cinchona. Opium, morphine from opium. Willowback gave us chloroquine. Artemisia is now giving us ACT. How did it start?
I remember when you were doing Nature's Pharmacist, you went around Nigeria. Talking to,
practitioners.
Herbal practitioners. Tell us about some of,
that was a really, I enjoyed that, Paula. I went around the whole, each zone in this country. What was my aim? How is this practice? What are they saying? What knowledge do they have? It was tremendous knowledge because though I met the practitioners, I look at the components that I'm interested in, which is the medicinal plant. Some will show me, this is the plant, what we use it, this is what. I went around the zones, and I understand the peculiarity of each zone. But what is more common is the use of the value of the plants. Some are common, some believe in the common usage of those plants. That was a very good, tremendous experience. And then the other aspect, let me make you laugh, the magical component. That was again as another experience. Because I met an about 75 years old man in Yola. He told me he was expert in the management of snake bites. But you don't have to come to him. I will give him Bola's name. You are here. I'll give him his name in Yola.
Yes.
Then he will start vomiting. As he's vomiting, you're also vomiting. And after that, you get cure. Can I explain this? No science can explain this. But that is nature at its best. That is a mystery. That is it. And traditional medicine has that role. But back to what we are interested in, medicinal plants. The value addition, now the practitioners, Ministry of Health was able to do something. The history of medicinal plants research, the role of Nigerian government started as far back as 1970, where in Ife, scientists were put together to start research into medicinal plants. So many years, in 1997, in Ministry of Health, they set up a kind of committee, expert committee, let's roll out traditional medicine. Come to WHO. 2001 to 2012 was regarded as African Decade of Traditional Medicine. Go to Africa, go to your countries, see what you have. That your traditional medicine, bring it better. Even the almighty Pope, the late Pope, told the African bishops, told the African fathers, go back to your country. In your country, there is a natural resource, the gift of nature given to you for your people's healing. That led to the establishment of the now medicinal plant center called Pax Herbals.
Yeah.
Pax Herbal is a Reverend Father.
I once visited
They
Pax
are now
Herbal.
in medicinal plants,
Yes.
based on that statement made by Paul. So let's come back. Nigeria is blessed with natural resources. One of these natural resources is about 8,000 species of medicinal plants. Out of these 8,000, we are yet to exploit 10%.
Okay. Before we go fully into what we have in Nigeria as far as medicinal plants are concerned. Now, we were talking about, the safety and, a lot of our people not believing in traditional medicine because they feel it isn't safe. And, but have we been able to move further along that line? Or is it, just ignorance, keeping our people back and thinking, oh, no, I won't go near traditional medicine? Is it ignorance?
I really want to cue ignorance, colonial mentality, not believing in your own, believing the one imported is the best. And all these countries, Chinese have developed their traditional medicine. They call it Chinese traditional medicine. Indians have developed their traditional medicine. They called it Ayurvedic traditional medicine. The Japanese, the high system of technology, have developed their traditional medicine. They call it Kampo. Why you are saying they believe, I have come to recognize that our people, don't blame the 80%. Talk it to you people that are elites, the 20%.
20%.
The 80 people use it. So I don't have problem with the people in the community. My problem is with the modern clique. The elites who believe that, no, but they go behind and do the other form of traditional medicine. But what we are saying is that let us bring in our own medicinal plant. The research institutes like NIPRID should be able to look and then see what we can come out of our medicinal plants for drugs, herbal remedies, cosmetics remedies that we can use for the benefit of our people. If we don't do that, we'll always be perambulating like Fela said. He said, African man, they perambulate. You go up and down. You must come back to the reality. And the reality is to face what you have. Safety. You have talked about safety. It is, again, ignorance. There is a lot of difference between herbal components or herbal remedies and the orthodox medicines. Most of these orthodox medicines are synthetically well prepared. There is a lot of agents we use. We use alcohol. We use a lot of chemicals to bring in those drugs. Paracetamol. Do you know 500 milligrams of paracetamol? The active component in it is about 0.525 milligrams or 5 milligrams of the active component, but is surrounded by the component of additives. Those additives are things like starch, lactose, which cover that active principle. Don't think your 500 milligrams of paracetamol is the active ingredient. The minute quantity is contained. But the protective are the additives, the binders, which when you take it, have the ability to to be able to disperse and then bring in the active component out. Yeah. So what are we talking about? The orthodox drug contains nature in it. Are we deceiving ourselves? But come to the aspect of medicinal plants. Because a component of medicinal plants or herbal remedies is made up of one or more components of plants. Yeah. And these components of plants can be the leaves, the seeds, the fruits, the roots, the stem barks, even the gums exudates. When they are combined together for the purpose of synergy to exert more therapeutic benefits, that is where we call the herbal remedies. And because they contain a lot of active constituents, we are able to combine them to produce the main active components that we want to give that effect. But along the line, it is able to also harmonize the body. The yin and yang theory of the Chinese says there must be a holistic approach. The system in the body. When you take, for example, if you don't believe, when you take, for example, a drug, like I will call peppermint, which we have like the sweet basil. Somebody will say, I want to use it in the management of headache. Yeah. How is it giving you, how is it treating headache? What does it do? Paracetamol, we will know, a scientist will tell me it will go and act on the prostaglandins, and then it will relieve the headache. But basil contains components that will say, good blood, clean the blood, purify the blood, make it more oxygenated. When oxygen flows more to your brain, when there is a lot of nutrients, oxygen is carrying the nutrients, carrying the active components, carrying oxygen to the brain, what happens? Flourishes the brain, cleanses the brain, enriches the brain, your headache goes. That is how these natural remedies work. It is a holistic approach. And once the blood is cleansed, is it only the blood that goes to the head? No. The whole system. That is the problem. That is the way natural medicine works. Holistic, carrying. That is why it is preventive. Nobody will tell me, I'm going to take 2 tablets of paracetamol because I'm going to have headache tomorrow. No. Or I'm going to have headache by 2 p.m. But I can take this basil, this ephiri, this inchanwu, I make a tea of basil. Because of the anodiones it contains, simple, the peppermint, the mint oil in basil or sim, the oil it contains, when you take it at tea, it goes to the nerves, reduce the stress, calms you down. Preventive measure. You don't need the paracetamol. It can prevent. So, if we recognize the value of medicinal plants, they play more role in preventive health care. Then, the curative is more of the orthodox being. We need all.
Okay. Now, so for medicinal plants, they are more
preventive,
while orthodox is more curative.
Now, and which is cheaper, my dear? Will you take paracetamol now because you want to prevent headache?
So I don't have headache tomorrow.
Yes, but these ones, and again, these are readily available.
Okay.
We are now talking of green revolution.
We'll come to all of that later. That is why we have this tray here. Yeah, in case you're wondering, yes, Hajia won't do a program without having all of these here. It's Nature's Pharmacy, and she'll be talking about all of these leaves you have. But just before we go on, now, for us in Nigeria, having talked so much about, traditional medicine, the orthodox one, I do not think yet that we are, making use of the two side by side in our...
Can I blow the bust? Can I blow the balloon? Because we, the scientists, those medical doctors, some pharmacists or those pharmacists, some scientists don't want traditional medicine to be mentioned for nothing but complex ignorance. You must give opportunity to understand. I once asked a medical doctor, we were there to be able to look at the traditional medicine bill, which we will mention, how we will make this bill so that the National Assembly can pass the bill. The moment they say traditional medicine, in a committee of about 12 components, and all the 11 people there are doctors, I am the only pharmacist. He said, when they said this bill is for traditional medicine, an elderly person, a doctor said, leave it away, go. Don't talk about this traditional medicine. Then go to the village, do it there. Even tell them not to circumcise anybody. They have no right. I looked at him, I said, sir, with due respect, I'm sure you're over 60 years old. Let us not be a bit funny. May I know who circumcised you? I know that from his age, he was circumcised by a traditional birth attendant, and he's still living today. Did he die? Our parents who have lived 80 to 90 years old started with this traditional medicine. God in every home has given you some basic medicinal plants. You see the pawpaw tree, you see the mango tree, you see the lemon tree. A Sri Lankan visited Nigeria. You know what he said? He said, I noticed in every place in Nigeria there are mango trees. He said, then why are there malaria? Why is there malaria? You said we'll talk about malaria. He noticed mango trees.
What are you doing with, colleagues of yours, to enlighten them, to make them understand?
Let me now say at least there is some degree of awareness.
Okay.
Back to the time of the administration of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who gave authority to the Ministry of Health. Under them, Professor Lambo, there was a tremendous progress. Brought the practitioners together, gave them NMPDC, collaborate and ask Research Institute to go into the research of medicinal plants, bring these practitioners, let's give them a law, let's give them a bill, let's train them in code of practice. At least there has been some progress. But what I'm saying that the Ministry of Health should do better. And those colleagues of mine, my doctors, my pharmacists, my scientists, let us come and understand. Can you argue what you don't know? We need to have the knowledge. And I'm glad that the current minister said all the medical schools now will be trained in herbal medicine.
Oh,
that is a good step.
That is
and NAFDAC is doing a good work. It has registered over 1,000 plus of herbal remedies. And under the leadership of Paul Ohi, what he has said, he has set up a committee of us experts. He said, you Nigerians, go and sit down, let us discover remedies for malaria, for cancer, for HIV, that we can do from our own 1,000, at least out of the 8,000 species of medicinal plants for the benefit of our people. And you must also recognize Nigerian medicinal plants. We are a government people talking about the need that these can be a business, but let us add value addition. 6 plants we will promote so that people will know their value, add value to it, from the crude form to the modern form.
Well, it's good to know that, there's a change now, there's progress now. People are beginning to understand.
But we need to do more.
Some of the
awareness, sensitization. The doctors should listen, for goodness sake. The pharmacists too should listen, for goodness sake.
You need to
Bola, I will not stop this until I make this statement. No drug that is imported in this country, that the material is sourced locally. The only component of a drug, the common paracetamol you see everywhere in the village, the only component of paracetamol that is sourced locally is the water added to it. So what are we saying?
Are we saying we don't have anything?
There is no raw material. We compound. We bring in the raw things and package it together as compounding. So don't you know something is wrong? Let us use our plants to get the extracts, to get the components, so that we too can begin, like the Chinese, make our paracetamols from these and even make other natural remedies. The world is going back to nature.
Well, we'll take a break now. And when we come back, now Hajia will be talking about all of these vegetables on the table here, what we can do with them, and we'll now be talking about what the Nigerian Medicinal Plants Development Company is doing. We'll be right back. Your weekend starts right here on this program.
Watch Your Weekend at these times on NTAE. from cultural to contemporary. North to south. East to west. NTA Entertainment brings you the best in entertainment. NTAE, your one-stop entertainment channel.
It's still the talk with the Managing Director of the Nigerian Medicinal Plants Development Company, Pharmacist Zainab Ujudud Sheriff. Well, Haja, we've talked a lot about traditional medicine in Nigeria, all over the world, how traditional medicine has been recognized by World Health Organization, and how it is expected that countries would look at what they have and incorporate it into their own healthcare system. Now, let us talk about medicinal plants in Nigeria. Our focus now is on Nigeria, is on what we are blessed with and how we are making use of what we have to take care of our people. Now, earlier I talked about the Malaria Day, which was marked recently with the theme, Invest in the Future, Defeat Malaria. I know you have been doing so much. Your company has been doing so much about helping us to get cure for malaria. How are we in our quest for, defeating malaria as far as your company is concerned?
Let me just say that in 2006, when the former President Obasanjo set up a committee to see how we can locally produce our malaria drugs that were endorsed and approved by WHO in 2002, following the resistance to chloroquine. And these drugs are known as ACT. That is the artemisinin combination therapy. But the basis of this drug, it starts from the plant called Artemisia, which is indigenous to China. And the drugs were expensive. 1,500, you cannot afford it. The president decided to say, can we grow this plant in Nigeria? And if we can grow it, let us produce raw material for our over 400 pharmaceutical local companies so that they too can package the drugs. And Nigeria will be recorded as one of the countries that produce a locally source raw material for the benefit of the serious scourge of malaria. That was achieved because the committee became, and that is the basis of this company you see today. Initially known as Artemisinin Development Company. We succeeded in the first mandate. We did a trial of 2 years. All the zones of this country took the seeds. Can it grow? Honestly, Bola, the result is out. You cannot believe it. It even grows better than the Chinese. And what is in it that we want? The component is artemisinin. To make it viable, it must be 0.4% commercially viable. We had as far as 1.2% of artemisinin active component. That means we are in for business. So, and again, it can grow everywhere in this country from the research, but more in the north. Because the intensity of the sun that will make this. So we've been able to achieve that. So I will say kudos and congratulations to Nigeria. But the next step is what we are trying to. There are challenges. But I know that as we are talking now, the authority will listen so that we can go to the next stage and cultivate more of Artemisia for our outgrowers so that we can now extract it in a facility. The facility needs some transfer of technology. We have been able to source, but what we need, the finance to be able to set up that facility so that we can go to the next stage.
But in the meantime,
what we decided to do, we looked at all over the world. They package those products as tea and have dosages, explain to your users, consumers, how you will take that. We did a lot of research and then came up with the basic product, which we call Artemisia tea. Value addition. And these are some of the products you see around here to add value so that you can take your Artemisia at least listed with NAFDAC and known as in the management of malaria symptoms. So we have a product. And I want to tell you something. My worry is that we don't really know the value of plants. philosophers, scientists, Paracelsus in the 17th century said, your meadows and your pastures shall be your pharmacy. As you go out, Bola, I looked at this. Outside there, you have a plant that is brownish, red acalifi, outside there.
Yeah.
It's beautifying your environment. Do you know? You know that you are happy. That same plant can be used in the management of skin diseases. Our children go through ELA. That is a plant that you can go. And then he said, for every disease, there is a herb that grows. If you don't believe in plants, you don't believe in God. They are God's remedial agents for his inflicted humanity. Where was the Garden of Eden? What was there? Was there paracetamol there? Fruits and vegetables. Before Adam came in, he made it good for us so that we can use it. So we must use these plants. Nigeria has 8,000. NAFDAC has listed so far 1,000 plus from our indigenous law. So kudos to NAFDAC. That is why the man was consigned, the DG, and said, let's set up a committee. Yeah. We, the scientists, let us look at a disease like malaria. Yeah. What plants can we use? In every house, there is a pawpaw tree, guava. What were people doing in those days? They boil the plants, you come use your blanket,
you cover up
steaming. Why were they steaming? Why were they covering the plant? What is the scientific explanation? Let me give you the scientific explanation. The boiling of those leaves, the process of using the blanket is a process called diphoterism. And that process, when you do that, you stimulate the circulatory system. You stimulate the peripheral nerves. You lead to a process called vasodilatation. There is a stimulation, the blood is diluted. The body is strengthened. The liver is strengthened. That process energizes the whole organs. Then they are alert. When you are alert, what happens? You are ready now to kill the parasite, to fight the parasite. When the organs, the liver, the kidney, that process, the sweat, the diphoterism strengthens those organs. And then the organs are able to fight the microorganism. But what we do here is, how do we catch mosquito and kill it all? There are two ways. You either deal with the mosquito or you deal with yourself as a human being. And this is the way natural medicine does. How will you deal with yourself as a human being? Good nutrition, using preventive medicine, taking medicinal plants to strengthen your liver, to strengthen your kidney, to strengthen your immune system, which is the ability to resist disease. That can only be given by good nutrition and medicinal plants. That is where we talk about the preventive aspect. So, our parents were not wrong in using that diphoterism. That is why you are able to manage malaria. Do you understand? And when you take the liquid, what happens? You just flush it out. You go, you are urinating. You are excluding. The body has the power to heal itself. Auto mechanism given to us by God. The liver, if 25% of your liver is destroyed, it can regenerate itself through good nutrition, good diets, from what we call hepatic plants, the plants that God has given for the liver. Which are those plants? Let me start by saying, in front of us here, I have some hepatic plants. That means those plants are good for the liver. That means those plants are good for the blood. And that means those plants have a role in the management of malaria. Okay? So, what is this? Bitter leaf. Vennonia amagladina. Bitter leaf has a role in the management of malaria. Chloroquine is bitter. Artemisia is bitter. We have come to recognize that plants that contain bitter principles, when you chew it, there is bitterness, have anti-malaria effect. That is why people talk of dogonyaro, because dogonyaro leaves is bitter. So these plants, Vennonia, bitter leaf, you take it in soup. You can take it as tea. That is what Nigerian Medicinal Plants is trying to do. It wants to add value to some of our plants so that those plants can be recognized and be appreciated. And when you do that, if you are able to know that bitter leaf has some role in the management of malaria, either prophylaxis, then you take more of bitter leaf.
Yeah.
Then you cultivate more of bitter leaf. My dear, won't it lead to job and wealth creation? More people, beyond the use of it as food, if they now recognize that you take it more as medicine, they will cultivate more. The almighty Moringa you hear of today, when I was showing Moringa 20 years ago, people were laughing. Now, the hottest cake, India makes $6 billion annually from Moringa. $6 billion is the greatest producer and exporter of Moringa. $6 million annually. And Nigeria in the northwest is blessed with one of the best species of Moringa oleifera. We used to call it the poor man's food, not knowing that the poor man who is eating Moringa is boosting his immune system.
Yeah.
So these are plants that we can promote. In malaria, what does it do? It gives you more iron. Because when you have malaria, your HB content is low. Hemoglobin content is low. Your blood count is low because the parasites fight in the liver. But when you take something to boost the blood, it helps to fight malaria. There are many ways. It doesn't mean if it is not this, it is not it. Yeah. There are multi-dimensional approaches. A leaf that will stimulate the kidney, a leaf that will stimulate the liver, a leaf that will enhance the chlorophyll content of the blood, which we have in ugu. When a pregnant woman is sick or she has problem with hemoglobin, you give her ugu. She takes ugu consistently for 5 days, then the content comes out. The hemoglobin content is increased. When the blood is fresher, when there is more blood in the system, that means there is more oxygen. So that means the body is given the strength, the energy to be able to fight disease. These are the roles of some of these plants, which Nigerian medicinal plants is promoting. Now, people are cultivating more of Moringa. But watch it out there, not all Moringa are Moringa.
Oh.
You know Nigerians, my dear, the moment they say this is the in thing, you remember the era of aloe vera? Now is the era of Moringa. Some people will go and give you other green leaves and say, take Moringa. You must look at the organized and the well-recognized and identified source of Moringa before you purchase. Or buy the seedlings and grow it in your house so that you know you are getting the fresh. But if you want to get the one that has been value added, Nigerian Medicinal Plants has the answer. As a government company, we are meant to promote the use of plants for our people. Ours is strictly to make people aware and add the value to Moringa. If you look at this, is a Morivite tea made from Moringa. That means we have been able to use this Moringa, add value to it through the value chain to get Moringa. The local people, I told you, I don't have problem with 80% of people because they have accepted this. So I am battling with the 20 to 30% of the elites. In the local villages, they can take it as salad, as food. Then you, the elites, office workers, executives, senators, House of Reps, take the tea for your benefit. Bitter leaf. We're also going to promote bitter leaf, not only as food, but as medicine. Process it through scientific process. Package it stage 1. Then we go on to discover drugs for our Africa, for our Nigerians. Have you heard of any drug being discovered in Africa? The international politics also affect the drugs discovery. It takes 12 years for a drug to be discovered. And you need to spend about $60 to $50 million in research. Do we have that money to research into drugs? But what God has given us is a pathway that can lead to that. What is that pathway? NIPRID is working on medicinal plants. If the pathway says this leaf is going to be used to discover malaria drug. But first, I will not wait 12 years. All the people will die. I will start by taking it as a tea or eating it as food at a supportive therapy. And then gradually the research will go on and then you can now go from natural to the synthetic to get the drugs. For point of information and clarification, when drugs were discovered, which we call the chemical drugs, it was a transformation from the natural process, from the natural drugs, through synthesis to get the active ingredients, which will now known as the chemical drugs. Then those chemical drugs, you can synthesize them in the lab to get structures, which will now make these drugs into, which will now make these structures to give you new drugs. Yeah. But the peculiarity of Nigeria, the peculiarity of the African continent, the peculiarity of the developing country, let me say, why don't we imbibe the saying of Kwame Nkrumah, who said the weapons of our reasoning, our philosophy, must be based on the environment and the living conditions of our people. And it is from these factors our intellectual reasoning should be based. What you have, what your people do, take it, add value, learn it, and use it for the value of people. We must use what we have to develop for our people. If not, Paula, we will go nowhere.
Now, you say these things, this
value addition.
Here, value addition. Now,
scientifically.
Okay, these are all products of
Nigerian Medicinal
Plants Development Company.
The Artemisia, you see, is the anti-malaria plant, which you can take now as tea preventive. In each, we have explanation as scientists. Then the Morivite is brand. We give it a good name because of the scientific procedures we have done. You will be opportune to see our facility. Okay. Then this is Moringa, and then the powder. The powder, you can add it to your yogurt, your juice.
That's Moringa powder.
Morivite powder.
Morivite powder. Okay, but you see, now, some people have said to me, because when I showed them, you know, somebody was saying, look, the fact is, we know these things are available.
Why? They cost
they are expensive.
Thank you. Thank you. You see, peculiarity of Nigerian. The process, if you look at the process of producing this, cultivation, buy it from the farmers, the processing, they dry in a good environment. You don't dry it directly to the sun. You come back to us, we do another drying in an equipment that is procured with money, and then in that you get the correct temperature and moisture content you need so that you don't have microbial contamination. And then you pass it through the process. My dear, all this is based on power. We have epileptic factors. But what I'm trying to say is that in everything in life, there must be target audience. For the purpose of this, why are we explaining this? If you cannot buy Morivite tea, take the zogale as tea. Get the leaves from the trees, use it locally. It's readily available now.
So if you're going to take the zogale as tea, what you need to do? Just to boil it?
Boil it, exactly. You can take the fresh leaves, take about 10 grams, which is equivalent to about 5 grams of the dried one, boil in a teacup of boiling water, you take that. That will serve the poor who don't have it. But the target audience, the people you know that needs value addition, you know the mentality. I told you I'm after the 20 to 30%. Don't forget. The 80% are already converted. They are already apostles. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. But those 20% of the Nigerians or doctors, the scientists, we do nothing. We talk much. We don't practicalize. We only do literature. What are our professors doing? What are our researchers doing? We are supposed to put our heads together, look at what we have and give to our Nigerians.
Okay, now, we have mentioned that, you know, some
value
countries
addition,
make billions of dollars
I've told you, India,
from their medicinal
Moringa,
plants.
come on.
Now, how are we doing in Nigeria?
Good. Let me say that we have started. Better late than never. At least the government, I must give kudos to the Federal Minister of Agriculture. The Minister, Dr. Akumi Adesina, who is supporting Nigerian medicinal plants to say that cultivate these plants, promote it. Because people often say, why are we in agriculture? Why are we not in health? Agriculture has the mandate to grow. Health has the mandate to take and use. So we are well equipped and well stationed in agriculture so that we can promote cultivation, transformation agenda. You cultivate so that more people will have job.
Yeah.
The youths, currently we have youths who are putting their heads together in Enugu and some women. Because we gave Enugu, Southeast, we gave them Ugu because of the peculiarity of the soil. Favorable to growing of Ugu, even though it can grow in every part. So with that, they are able to grow more of Ugu so that we can now buy from them and add value to it through our process.
What are you doing with Ugu?
We are going to come up with what we call the Ugu tea, the Ugu powder, and Ugu capsules. But the science in it is to determine the quantity of Ugu that will give you the medicinal value. That is what we will do. 500 milligrams of Ugu in a capsule form. You take it about 2 capsules 3 times daily. We give you the desired quantity that we feel will give you the medicinal value. That is value addition. That is science. We are using a combination of the ancient knowledge and modern knowledge to move forward and to favor our people.
That is good. Okay, so you have young people and women.
Yes.
Is it all over the 6 geopolitical zones now that you're now, you're buying all of this from people, or you have your own farms?
We are collaborating with the Ministry of Women Affairs.
Okay.
We looked at most of these plants you see are mostly cultivated by women. And the poor innocent woman. You go to Garki market, you see how it has small vegetable, not much. She sells maybe 500. But the Ministry of Women Affairs, we are going to have a program where we sensitize women to tell them that these plants you cultivate or you sell, you can do more. You can get for more support so that the women and the youths can cultivate more for us. Currently, we have that agreement currently going so that we can use the women, especially women, to cultivate more of this Ugu, more of bitter leaf from south-south, every zone. South-south, bitter leaf, southeast, Ugu leaves, southwest, ephiri, which we call the bacillosimum, northeast, zobo. Zobo is red. Automatically in the doctrine of literature of herbal medicine, zobo is good in the management of high blood pressure. Contains a lot of vitamin C that strengthens the blood cells. Zobo is northeast, northwest, Moringa, and north central, ginger. Good for circulation, cold weather, you take ginger, good tea, rheumatism, because it causes more of blood circulation, dispersing the uric acid that tends to cause the pains in the joints. This has the ability to disperse it, and then you excrete it. So you can see that these are plants. Why did we identify these plants? Like I told you, we noticed their availability in those zones. We noticed their general knowing and common by all these zones. We noticed that they are mostly consumed by those zones. And we noticed that all year round, these plants are cultivated in those zones. You can never, so that means affordability, availability, sustainability, and job and wealth creation. Is that not what the government is calling transformation agenda? Transforming medicinal plants through cultivation and value addition to benefit our people and to generate income. $100 billion annually from medicinal plants. Leading country is China, followed by India, followed by Thailand and Korea. Nigeria no get anywhere.
We will soon
even Ghana. But now, thank God, with Nigerian Medicinal plants, we are going to Canada for an exhibition. And we have been identified to go and exhibit these medicinal plants. So at least we are going somewhere. These 6 medicinal plants, which we have packaged, add value to it. So that we can tell them about that medicinal plants. And then they will appreciate that. Our other scientists are doing well. The director in procurement, Ben Amodu Pharmacist, is doing well in promoting medicine. We have so many of them. And I appreciate that.
I think some time ago, I think in 2006 or so, I think there was a move to have a traditional medicine institute or so of Nigeria.
Honestly, our former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, in 2006, he said they must set up a committee for the commercialization of medicinal plants. He went to an international conference where they said, Mr. President, you have so much plants. The moment he came back, he directed the Minister of Health to set up a committee so that we commercialize our medicinal plants. It was known as the Committee for the Commercialization of Medicinal Plants, headed by a well-renowned Professor Sofowora, so that we can commercialize the medicinal plants. And again gave a mandate. He said, not only to commercialize medicinal plants, I want you to set up an institute of traditional medicine, produce a blueprint, which was done. We have the blueprint. If we're able to take up that blueprint, we can set up an institute of traditional medicine. We now train our barefoot doctors. Yes. And a lot of us are now interested. The educated. If you want to read Chinese traditional medicine as a pharmacist in China, you need to spend 2 years. If you want to read Chinese traditional medicine as a doctor, you will spend 3 years. Because they know you have to learn their own medicinal plants. So if we have that institute, job creation, wealth creation, discovery of more drugs.
I'm sure if we have that institute, it will be easy to now incorporate it
traditional
into
medicine, because we must integrate, and that is one of the mission where the traditional medicine policy was launched in 2007, so that we can now integrate gradually traditional medicine into the healthcare delivery system.
I hope that a time will come soon and we'll be able to do that.
Whether we like it or not.
Yes.
Ministry of Health.
Yes.
Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
Those doctors, those pharmacists, those scientists.
Yeah.
My dear friends, the traditional healers.
Yeah.
Some of you are fake, but the original ones.
Yeah.
When we come together, the researchers,
this
country will move forward in discovering health. Cancer is all over.
Well, thank you very much, Hajia. It is on that note that we end today's The Talk. It's been so enlightening talking to Hajia. I tell you, for so long she has been preaching nature's pharmacy to us, and she'll continue to preach that, because especially where she is now, she has the opportunity to be able to develop all of this for the benefit of Nigerians, for our well-being, of Nigerians, and because also that a lot of money can be made from this. Exactly. So we thank you so much for coming on the program. We'll see you again some other time. Thanks for being a part of The Talk this week.